Due to human influences, broad-headed snakes are today regarded as the most vulnerable of all species of reptile in Australia. Continual decline in the broad-headed snake population not only threatens the long-term sustainability of this species, but potentially threatens the viability of the sandstone rocky outcrop ecosystems of the Greater Sydney area. Broad-headed snakes are from the family Elapidae, which encompasses fixed front-fanged venomous snakes. Some examples of elapids include the common brown snake, red-bellied black snake, and taipans, amongst others. Furthermore, Australian elapids are the most venomous species of snakes found anywhere in the world and are revered and even feared by Australians. It is perhaps this reason that the plight of the broad-headed snake and subsequently the potential impacts and long-term sustainability of the sandstone rocky outcrop ecosystems has gone largely unnoticed by Australians. Broad-headed snakes are confined to the sandstone rocky outcrops located around the Greater Sydney region and are found nowhere else in Australia. Due to the small distribution, the population is deemed more susceptible and vulnerable to negative influences. To date, numerous surveys and field studies have been undertaken to better understand broad-headed snakes and identify the factors causing the population decline. Following on from these studies, it can be surmised that three main factors are contributing to the decline of the broad-headed snake. These include illegal poaching of broad-headed snakes for the pet trade, the introduction of feral species, and habitat destruction by way of the removal of sandstone bushrock for ornamental landscaping. The keeping of reptiles in Australia as a hobby dates back into the 1970s. However, in 1997, the New South Wales state government drafted licensing and records for keeping native fauna. At this point in time, an amnesty allowing hobbyist reptile keepers to declare and therefore legitimise any reptile species they held without penalty was introduced. It was at this time that large-scale collecting of the prized broad-headed snake for the pet trade took place, potentially degrading the breeding population by way of the removal of mature breeding stock. As it is well documented through many case studies, the introduction of feral predatory species such as cats and foxes has had devastating effects on native wildlife. As broad-headed snakes are a small species of snake, attaining a total length of less than 90 centimetres, predation by both native and introduced species is evident. Focusing on the studies undertaken in relation to feral species predation and the effect on broad-headed snakes, it is clear that the introduction of feral species is not a determining factor for the decline in broad-headed snakes. Rather, it's a minor factor that has had minor impacts on the broad-headed snake population. But in conjunction with the other factors, feral species predation has the potential to place significant pressure on the long-term sustainability of the broad-headed snake population. Ensuring the long-term sustainability of the broad-headed snake and the sandstone rocky outcrop ecosystems relies heavily on habitat preservation. One factor, and perhaps the most influential factor, affecting the broad-headed snake is the removal of sandstone bushrock for ornamental landscape use. It is well documented that broad-headed snakes rely upon the sandstone rocky outcrops for shelter and hunting. Throughout recent history, the sandstone rocky outcrop ecosystems of the Greater Sydney region have faced prolonged and illegal destruction and removal of cap rocks for use in landscaping. To date, all field study and research work into the long-term sustainability of the broad-headed snake population cite the removal of sandstone bushrock as the key factor for the decline. Broad-headed snakes are Australia's most endangered species reptile. The factors for the decline in their population are caused by the influence and impacts of human behaviour. In addition, the continual decline of broad-headed snakes has the potential to severely impact the sandstone rocky outcrop ecosystems in which they exist. This continual decline in the population of broad-headed snakes can be reduced by minimising the spread of feral species, the continual regulation of the pet trade in reptiles, but perhaps most importantly, habitat preservation and the protection of sandstone bushrock. Controlling these three vital aspects will not only secure the long-term sustainability of the broad-headed snake, but also the sandstone rocky outcrop ecosystems found within the Greater Sydney region.